Hello community, my name is Jay Song. Thanks for joining us for our daily reading. Welcome to today's all Patreon day. It's good to see you here. If you guys are new, okay. We're going to look at our first crypto today. USDT.D is one of our most important charts that we have. It is a chart that we've been pretty successful at mapping for several years as far as understanding the likely decision points that price is going to reverse. Understanding where it's at in its territory helps us understand the market for the crypto markets. It's quite simple in my opinion. If you can understand this chart, you can understand what's happening with the crypto market. I'm going to give you guys my first image for this chart that we've been building, where I suspect we've been going, and where I told people we were going 3 weeks ago. It's approximately 3 weeks ago. And I want you to follow this chart very carefully. Okay. Here is one of the first of the main charts that we are showing for USDT.D. Okay. This is a chart where when we were measuring this oscillation price moving up in these areas, we were trying to decipher the ranges and what was happening. This number was real important because this was one of the major decision markers for USDT.D, 4.57. When this chart was coming on this side of the price, we were going to be expecting price to bounce up and down. And so for several weeks, I've been drawing this up and down type of thing. Now, when this moves up and down, you should know that this chart moves conversely to the market. So if it moves up, we know that price is falling in the crypto markets. If it moves down, we know that crypto markets are generally rising. We had a few targets that we've had for several months here within this range, primarily 4.45 to 4.30. And we've also had 4.49 to 4.36 in these blocks. And they all seem to overlap in this area. If price phases through, we were expecting prices to come down and hit these areas over and over again. That would give us multiple chances for people to take profits on some of their cryptos as this was falling. But we also need to be aware of the two different powers at play. Right now, there's a stronger power that's been played in the foundational area since December of 2025. Or 2024, and this is going to be about January and February of 2025. So it formed an angle somewhere about here. In our art, we use these angles a lot to determine the territories price is entering and more likely to stay and get oppressed and suppressed and also to bounce. Now, we've also measured another oscillation on the smaller daily charts. And when we go to the smaller daily charts, it looks something like this. And these angles stop existing in the way that we think. They stop forming their, oh, sorry, that's a weekly chart. Let me get you one. Yeah. One moment. And pull up your live example. That same angle on the daily chart ceases to exist. This was that angle we were just looking at, but it ceases to exist on a daily chart. Although there's some confirmation that price is still respecting this line, for the most part, we're disrespecting that angle, going back and forth. And what I determined based on this outcome is that we were going to play within the area, but still possibly have to be concerned about a major opening salvo. And that means that things would get messy. We're likely to phase through, but we don't want to take our eyes off the leveling out of the parabolic area. The leveling out of the parabolic area is this area that's going to be shown on top. Okay? And that's in the foundational area of the falling that we had. It's these 3 points here. Okay? Now those 3 points will form a curve like a circle, but because price doesn't go backwards, we don't go backwards. That never happens. We just simply level off the parabolic into a flat line. That's a flat price that we can determine or know, or even at least a small range that we can know and determine. 3 weeks ago, or around 3 or 4 weeks ago, I gave you that number. It's around 4.96. That's about where it levels off. So we're aware. We also started seeing those closes get below there. Every week, a new candle is formed. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. And I told everybody, please be aware of 4.96. So because I see these two powers at play, these are my warning numbers that I've given everybody in our Dive community. If you guys are a Dive member, it's $18 for the full month. You guys can join me anytime. I send out 3 links for live sessions, and you can request live charts. These are the charts that I constantly use because if I know what territory this is, I know what's happening in the crypto markets. In fact, there's another, after we start taking requests for some of the cryptos, we start understanding the correlation between USDT.D, and you start seeing them even without looking at each other. So even if I wasn't looking at USDT.D, if I look at 12 cryptos and I can see the same story happening over and over again, it starts to let me know more certainly what USDT.D is doing. If the cryptos are falling, USDT.D is rising. If this is rising, the cryptos are falling. It's that simple, really, in a sense. So without any further ado, understanding these territory is something we've done, and I do a report Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays throughout the month. So that's what I do in our community. So if you guys are watching today as a free member, it helps you understand what territories you're in. So when we understand price bouncing, we also understand the warnings at 4.96. With that said, price hit the target multiple times throughout the weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks we're hitting the target over and over again. I told people you want to be looking to take profits at the lower areas. The first place we hit was the upper area of the first block. And then the second places we hit was the lower area of the first block, which is about the mid-level of this area here, because that's where the flat overlaps. It starts telling us where we want to be thinking about taking profits for cryptos. So those are where we want to make sure that we walk away with some crypto prices when this is coming down. Where we want to enter is here. This is where we want to start thinking about entering cryptos. So you set up alerts, and I'll show you how to do that later. You can set up alerts for cryptos at these prices, and when USDT.D is primary in that area, it's more likely we're going to reverse. So in my opinion, because I believe this is a real strong oscillation, if you're going to find cheap crypto prices, it's going to be when we're at 4.96. And this is why, here's May 28th, here's a week of May 28th. We talked about entering in these areas in our previous chart. Again, this is a chart I've been mapping for several months. Here is May 17th, or an image, it looks like from May 17th, one of our meetings, and so forth and so on. By the way, these bottoms we found when we were way back here. We knew we were looking at prices way back there, and anyone can check our record on our USDT.D on our website. On our website, in the search panel, you want to type in the word of the crypto you're looking for, XRP. USDT.D, it's the dominance of Tether. In the search post for recent posts, just type in there whatever crypto, and it'll pull up a timestamp. Melody timestamps the videos. It also pulls up the image notes that we post at the end of every session, and you can quickly go there and understand my thoughts, my take on what's important. And I sometimes try to break it down with simple crayons so you can understand what things are important for which charts at which times. Okay, so throughout the year, we've been tracking lots of important numbers, and that's my job for you. Everything in this video is never financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. Everything is just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I eat red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, especially be aware against high leverage trading. Which territory are we at right now? Well, here's another thing you should look at. You need to see that we hit our targets on upper area. 4.96 was my number for several weeks. We hit there, just on June 5th. Okay? So if you guys check the markets, on June 5th, that was when prices were hitting some of the best entry prices for some of the cryptos, if you're going to pay a low price anyway. Is it the best time to buy? We can talk about that based on its current oscillation. So on the daily chart, we remember that the foundational area doesn't exist, okay, or it doesn't show this angle that I'm moving around, but it does on the high level time frames. On the weekly time frame, it's still there, and it's still important, and it's correct. So this is why we're still looking at 4.96 and we spiked there. Isn't that great? Don't you guys like having our maps? We appreciate your support for our community.
It's amazing.
It's $18 for the full month. I appreciate everyone who supports us with a Dive membership. And everyone who gives tithe and offering to our ministry, we praise God. We can continue to help you have some of the best prices, or at least know where the biggest decision points are. I cannot predict the future, but I can give you a lot of things. There are times when I'm doing charts and I feel like I'm prophesying. And the thing was Prophet Robin who said it best. He said, I'm a prophet, but I don't know it. Someone once said in our community, there's a certain mode I get in this zone where I feel like I'm prophesying. And I've even said it before. I said, sometimes I feel like when I'm doing charts, I'm prophesying. Not always, but there's moments when I feel like I'm prophesying just by doing the map. I hope maybe that's some kind of thing to put you in the right directions or get you closer to what it is you should be looking at when it comes to important things happening in the markets. A lot of times people are entering the crypto markets and have no idea what's happening. In our sessions, we break it down step by step or piece by piece, how to recreate our own maps. And I'm not saying these to toot my own horn, but because what we can do is teach you how to do these. For all Dive members, if you type in the word lessons in the search post, it will take you to lessons 1 through 18. And at the bottom, there's 6 bonuses. There should be 6 bonuses where I teach you how to recreate the method, understanding the oscillations and how to draw them correctly. There's breakthrough discoveries based on technical analysis that most people don't spend time on. There's a lot of great stuff, great things in our art, and I want to give you a lot of what we found about mapping price. So price has been indeed oscillating back and forth in these areas, as you can see, and now this number is done. So is it time for the bull market to happen? Is it time for the bull market to happen? When this comes down, your cryptos are going to go up. So these, therefore, are some of the best prices. I'm going to write down here, and I'm going to show you where the entry is, okay? But first, I'm going to write down best prices hit. Best prices hit June 5th. For all of you who set an alert at that area, just like I told you guys, this is where we level off, okay? The official range is 4.94 to 4.97. But everyone who set up alarms should have gotten some kind of notification that was a good entry, or prices were low prices anyway. Now, is this going to be my entry? Well, not exactly, and I'll show you why, okay? So this is where I believe if you are at a decision-making point, this is where price can happen. Then 2 scenarios can happen at 4.96. If you're going to pay the prices and enter crypto anyway, that's where you want to have paid. But if we break and build above this area, it makes it more likely that this will go higher and cryptos will go lower. Okay. When this goes down equals bullish cryptos. Up equals bearish. There we go. Bearish cryptos. I'll write that in yellow. It's good to have this. I want you to take a screenshot of these 2 images. Okay? Of the down movement, of the up movement. Okay? Take a screenshot so that you're in the right way. Tommy says, J-Song, we're 3 weeks away from your crash dream. Is that so the markets, wasn't that related to your crash dream? If so, is the market showing any possible signs of that being this year? No, not yet. But it will. If we were above 4.9, that might be a bearish thing. But I don't think that's where we're going to experience a crash just right now. Okay. But everybody got a screenshot of this one? And you can replicate this, if you say, well, I don't know how to draw the parabolics yet. Just draw flat there at 4.97, 4.94 right now. And then you're going to draw the next line I'm going to draw. Okay. The next line we're going to draw together. And again, if you say, well, Jason, you spend too much time on USDT.D. If you know this, you know what happens around the crypto market, in my opinion. By the way, I'm using a setting, if you're new to our community, in the settings, it's called logarithmic. Some people said, oh, you shouldn't use this one for this one yet, but I still haven't found a reason not to, because I've had a lot of success with it. So this is my settings, logarithmic, for every crypto. Although some people measure it in regular, if you did have it on regular, you should come to mostly the same conclusion. Okay. All right, now let's finish up this chart. This is on the daily chart, and that means that each one of these bars is 1 day worth of time. Okay. Study this, learn this chart, apply the tools and techniques that we teach in our sword method, all the various analyses we perform, and you're going to have a good idea of what's going to happen next. We're going to draw a trend line about right here, and I'm going to draw it in white. This line I'm going to make as a size 4, and I'm going to make this line dotted. I'm going to give this line a label and add some words in white underneath it, and I'm going to call it watch line because this is something I'm watching. Okay, it's here. When price touches this watch line, I can make an alert for myself by clicking on this line. My toolbar will come up. It looks like this. Okay, I'm going to click on the little one that looks like an alarm clock right there, and I'm going to click on it, and it's going to pull up this, and I'm going to click the word message. In the message column, I'm going to type in this watch line hit. Look for moves underneath that will signal bullish cryptos. Remember, again, when this goes down, your cryptos go up. So we want this to come down if you're bullish, and if you're shorting the market, you want it to go up. If you're wanting really good prices, you want prices to build above here so we have a chance to move into new territory. That has not happened. A lot of times people chase cryptos, enter at tops and bottoms, and they don't understand they're at a top. One pastor at the crypto conference, he had said, this man, I believe he was a pastor, he had his whole church get in debt and got him in trouble, and he told the testimony. He says, yeah, man, I can't believe I did that. That's why we need to buy now that we're at the bottom. And he said that months, and I was like, facepalm myself. How do we know we're at a bottom? Just because prices are low doesn't mean we're at a bottom. We need to make sure we measure, we calculate as best we can when we're calculating prices. And the same goes for tops. You know, is this really the bottom? If we have evidence as such, then maybe we can make a case for that. But until then, be careful. So price has been in this delay territory, and that's usually, in our art, we usually put a yellow border around the circle, which tells us what area we're in, and that means ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. But again, we are watching 4.96 for the extreme, and we're going to be watching the low, again, these ones, 4.49, 4.3, and the target here, which has been hit twice. All of these areas we've been hitting. So I'm going to, which order? Into front. So now our new oscillation is price playing here. So if you were trying to say, well, what's really happening with price? This is what's happening right now. Okay, that's what's happening. I'll fade this away just a little bit, and I'll take a screenshot. All of these is for your memory to try to help you wrap your mind around what's happening. So now to take an entry on cryptos, or a more proper entry, or a more safer entry, you're going to perform the following. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we draw that angle on this daily chart, and we're going to try to collect the cores, and then we're going to do what is called a wick match. If I were to hide most of my lines, just to get you something a little bit more real, it would look something like this. We're going to draw that angle in the meaty part of the area, connecting the what I call the cores, or the meaty part. They are here and here without crossing over into the angle. So we have to try to stay on the outside. And then we look for respect of those angles that we drew. So I look in the future to see prices responding to those angles quite nicely. That lets me know I'm still on the right track, or the game is still in play. So this would be my first verification. And I usually draw them with a purple V on both sides for verification. Upside down on the bottom. If it's top, we'd put a V like this, verification. Okay, that means I did my homework, or I'm doing my homework, or attempting to do my homework. The next thing we're going to do is, now that we have the angle, we're going to move it to the wick side. The wick side is here, this little wick. Okay, that's where we jut out. I'm going to take the same angle and look to see if I have verification along the wick side. And it would look something like a dashed or dotted movement. Okay. So once I have that, do I have a verification? Yes, I do. I'm hitting, and this is what I call wick match. Wick match verification and verification. Now, with this said, we now have a range that looks something like this. We have prices responding to this block. You say, well, which one do we use? Use both. You can treat them like a block. Okay? So we're left with something like this. In general, we want prices to be here, revealing weakness, because if we do, then that means that this is coming down and you're going to see cryptos go up. Bullish cryptos. Okay. If this continues going up and we stay in health, which is where we're at right now, price is still responding to the positive side. If we still say, then we know that that's negative for cryptos. Okay. Bearish cryptos. Not cryptos. Cryptos. Why did I put an S? Okay. Because the H. All right. So take a screenshot of this image right here. I'm going to make it really big for everybody. And that should help you this week understanding, before anyone else does, what is happening. What is more likely to be the case. If you know the major points in this map, then most of the time you'll see it before the experts see it, because you'll see it changing in real time. Now, one of these lines alone isn't enough for me, but when I overlap and I have a good, when I overlap the map and I create an image, a picture starts forming about all the things. I'm just isolating the single line to help you this week draw something that might be important. So recreate this, take a screenshot. On an iPad, you sometimes, the older ones, you hold the thumb here and then you hit the power button, click it once. The newer ones, you click both sides. On your phones, you click the volume and the power just like that. Just click the tops and bottoms at the same time and it'll take a screenshot. Save the image for you. All right, everybody got it? Can I get some coffee while I'm... that's so good coffee. Lemon verbena coffee. Who likes lemon verbena? Some of you who grew up on the Little House on the Prairie, you like it. Okay, let's now draw that in real life. And we're coming up. I'll put 3 more minutes and then we'll begin our regular cryptos. Some people need me for the, just tell me what's happening. I don't want to know how to do it. I just want to know what to do. Well, for that, I will tell you, try not to be like that. Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but teach a man a fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. I won't always be here in this capacity to teach or talk like this. Okay. So I want you to pay attention now while you still have me. Okay. I want you to learn now. I want you to take opportunity to learn. I'm going to move that one off to the side, and here's our new active weakness. So our new active weakness, we're going to put it underneath here, and it can be anywhere along the track, and this is going to be dynamic positive. I'll give you the price. The price is, if we move today and we come straight down, and I'll give you the extreme, the number is 4.69. But that number is a dynamic positive. And what that means, if I'm going to go to the text and I'm going to put a little plus mark in there. And I'm going to make it bold. Make sure that's bold. That plus means that number is going to change every single day. That number is going to go higher. Here's 0.4, 0.72. Here's a date of June 13th. And the number is 4.81. So as we can see, the number goes higher and higher as time goes on. So I call this dynamic positive. I don't care the price. Some people just say, Jason, just tell me the price. You don't understand them. Prices change, and we move them along like a track, like a railroad track. And we move them up and down. Sometimes they'll level out, and then they stay forever leveled out. But some angles that are still in play continue to be positive. Other areas or angles that are in play continue to be negative as they go down in time, over time. I have a very detailed map that helps us understand these. Okay. On our website, we talk about these constantly. Right now, these are some of the bigger oscillations that are in play. Okay, we talked about some of the taking profits here back in April. No, that wasn't April. That was the actual price list. 4.30 taking profits at these areas, and we've hit there a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks we hit there. Okay. All right. Just like we knew weaknesses here, this was going to be a great bullish area for cryptos. Now we're at that. We were at that area a few days ago. Is it possible we're going to squeeze through here? That's where we're at right now, and that's where I'm going to leave you guys for today. So look for prices to reveal what's going to happen. Now today, we may go back up to these areas, and if it goes up, you're going to see prices come down, and we may get another chance at 4.96 again, or 4.94 to 97. That's the area. Okay, 4.96, 4.94, 97. That's the general area. What we don't want to see for cryptos to be bearish is prices to build above here. All right. Any other questions regarding this? You'll be the first to know when you're on the right track to enter. If I'm closing on this side, I'm more likely to come back down. Okay? And I'm going to fade away this weekly chart on just for here, the angle, just so you can kind of see it. I'm fading it away just to highlight more right now the immediate stuff. Does anybody have any other questions? My thoughts and take. Okay? I don't know if the crash or flash crash event based on my dream is this year. I'm always more cautious when it comes to June, the month of June 27th, and also possibly July 27th, but I believe it was in June. When I first had the dream, immediately my friend called me up and says, it could be for a time in the future. I said, you're absolutely right. Okay, I'm going to try to go through all your questions. All right. Beverly said, you're like Joseph Z. I don't know who Joseph Z is. Good to see Bev. She's always posting some great things on Instagram. Okay. Everybody's got it. No questions. USDT.D. You guys all got the game plan for this week. Going once. Going twice. DAG. I'm going to come to the bottom of the screen. Right about there where it says the USDT.D. I'm going to click the button and it's going to open up my search bar. That's one way I can do it. The other way I can do it is by clicking on the full screen marker right next to my finger where it's pointing, and it's going to show this at the top. It says watch chart. I'm going to click the watch button and it's going to pull up this menu. This is the one I prefer. Up here in my search, I'm going to click a little X and zero that out and type in the word DAG USD. DAG USD. And it looks like I have a map checked. I added it to my watch list already on KuCoin. So it's just called Constellation Tether. Let's click that button. And now I'm going to click this on the full screen above right here and click open. All right, let's see what I have for DAG. DAG nabbit. Let's start with a high level time frame such as a 2-week chart. All right, on a 2-week chart, I measured a few important oscillations. It appears that I've been looking at this angle here. I want to check that one on the weekly chart. Okay, and then we'll go back to a 2-week chart. All right. We have some prophetic words from Triple J. Thank you, Triple J. Back in December, I hear Abba saying it will go sky high. We're going to be measuring this structure and this round structure here. It's a little peakish, but this area and this area we want to put together. Now I want to adjust this angle a bit. Okay, this is the angle that I'm having. And why is this like this? Okay. That one's going to be an old one. Okay. I'm going to adjust the angle by trying to collect as many of the lower cores as possible. And then I'm going to do the wick. Now, if you see the cores, it's going to give me an angle like about there. And they will not match the wick, but they do have a third point right in the middle here. Okay, so if this is my source point and this is my secondary point, this would be a type of verification here. And I will continue that out. And we'll give this a set color and we'll leave that in the time for a time in the future. And what this means is if price is ever falling, we might want to pay attention to that number in that area, 0.017 for DAG. Okay, so that might be one. I'm going to give this a color. We're going to give that a, not a red, we're already using red. Let's use a green line. Okay, that'll be one. The next color that we'll do is we're going to take the wick side and I'll draw a trend line and I'll bring it to the wick side, and this is my source point. It's going to be on the higher wick. Okay, right about there. And now I'm going to try to collect this other point up here. Okay, that's going to be based on this, and we're going to need to give that its own color. This is one I'll use a white. Okay. Now the reason I'm using this one first is I want to see if I'm going to be crossing over to this. The goal is to collect as many points as possible, like a game. Because I'm missing this area, you can see I'm not hitting it. I want to try to adjust for it until I can cross and hit as many of them as possible. Okay. If it helps, you can always start with this one on this side and move backwards as well. All right. Now, because I'm not able to collect all 3 points, I'm going to now start moving into my more intermediary points on this 2-week chart. I'm going to go to the wick side rather than the cores of this secondary area. So I'm going to bring it down to the lower wick, which is right here, and I'm just stretching it out so I'm not crossing over the other wicks. It's going to look something like this. And then I'm going to try to collect these points here, as many as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the average approximately. And this is going to be a more accurate line. So let me show you how it looks. From this side, you can see I'm touching this point, the meaty part of this point, and approximately this grouping. Okay. So that's how I'm going to say this is going to be approximately average. There are going to be definitely some exceptions to the rules, but for average, we're getting where the baseline of that angle needs to be placed. If you need a screenshot of that one for DAG to recreate my work, go ahead. That's the angle I'll use. Okay. And then again, following the track, I'm using the wick side here. So this is going to be about probably the more stronger zone based on the data that we currently have. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now duplicate this line and just kind of bring it up, and I'm going to make it really big and thick, level 4, okay, size thickness. Okay, that's all set. Good job. Now, the next thing we're going to do, so now we have a good baseline of where that bottom is going to be. Right now, that's going to be approximately around, if price were to fall in the next 2 weeks, we're looking for it to fall to 0.0238. That would be where the support is. You can draw, saying you can make a conclusion just based on a single line that if price falls there, you're looking to see it as good prices. If you have evidence, you're going to fall. If price is building on the opposite side of that line, you're having more evidence that you're likely to, like this, you're more likely to fall. Okay. Now that can be stopped by other analysis, such as this angle that we drew here, okay, based on just the cores. I'm going to give these two angles a label, and I'm going to put on the green one foundational area, and I'm going to put in brackets core. So I know I'm only dealing with the core, and I'll make that in a green, and I'll put that on the bottom. The next label I'm going to allow for this white one. Okay. By the way, I'm going to take the original line and just stretch it across that white line, and then I'll delete the white line. Good. So this one, I'm going to click on the line and give that a label. I'm going to type in, we're going to type in key angle, or KA, key angle, and I'm going to put the word dot. And I'm going to put in brackets for this one, I'm going to put average. Now I'm going to make sure I put the timeline that I created this line for my memory, 2W, which is for 2 week. I need to make sure I do that for the first line as well. So let's hit the back button, put that back in place, and also type in core 2W. So I'm left with something like those. Okay, so those are going to be how I recreate these angles. And those therefore will be 2 important points. If price falls, I'll be looking to bounce there. If price falls, I'll be looking to bounce there. If we're building, this will be an area of weakness, and this will be an area as well of weakness. Okay. Right now we're not in the play, but it's great to see in the future. If all price did was just go to the side, then those angles will eventually overlap them and they'll act like a bouncing point. And if prices phase through, that will also act like a weakness. We call that phasing. It's quite easy to see when price is losing its power play, its momentum. Like in hockey, it has an ability to bounce, and what happens at price, what happens at important points is just as important as what doesn't happen. So if we don't bounce, we know that we're looking at weakness. If not, we're looking at health. That's how we can measure that. I'm explaining a lot more. I'm going a little bit slower today to make sure you're new. If for all new people or some of our free members.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you move over the green circle slightly so that I could see the price?
Oops, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
This needs to be 0.23 with the dash 0.18. So 0.023 to 0.018 might be a great price for DAG. Okay. All right, let's go now. Now that we've done the bulk of our homework, let's go down to those smaller time frames. Let's cut it in half from a 2-week chart to a 1-week chart. Here we already found that there's a health that appeared on this side of price, so that was when we had a chance to go up. Until then, we were still in this down territory. So we'll delete that one. We don't need that on the board anymore, nor do we need these smaller healths from the smaller daily charts. Sword cut is where we were looking for prices to build upon. We can see prices building on this area. If I go down in time, you can see this a little bit more clearly. See? This is not as important anymore, so I'm going to delete this. Our whole method is called sword method. We're on 6.0 with many of the 7.0 parts being revealed to you in the lessons page in the bonus section. Okay, now that we're going down from our weekly chart, we're going to cut a little bit further and see some important points. Is it possible that what's happening is we're changing and we're moving up? If it is, we're going to be looking for some evidences that would support that theory. One of the things we would need to see is the major areas start showing and revealing health. It would look like price doing this. We would need price to bounce on these angles. Okay, and right now we can see that price has still been building above those angles, but failing to launch along the angle or the sword cut, which was here. And this is concerning. There may not be the juice needed for price to bounce. In fact, one of the things we're actually seeing is price building on the underside of the sword cut. So we were supposed to bounce here. I even put a health marker so you know where to look for it. But look how weak the bounce was. And then we come underneath this area and we hit the underside. That's weak for this crypto. If you see that in cryptos, you know that you're probably looking at the main oscillations still in play, and that would be maybe the double bottom here, or the what we call multi-touch flat. So maybe we're going to be looking at prices to come back to these areas, which is more evidence why we would hit for 0, 2, 3. Now, if we have a support here or a flat, and we know that, and we have an upward angle, we can now track something called the vortex. A vortex is where other technical analysis teachers might say, call them confluence of influence, but I like to call them vortexes because they act a lot like maybe what we know in science fiction as a black hole. You're like, well, it's a science fact. Well, there's a lot of people that still believe that's up for great debate. In other words, this flat comes along a track and is intercepting this area approximately here. So that's a window of time by which we need to pay attention. If price just happens to be coming down into that pocket, that would be what I call a prime vortex. Okay, I'm not going to write this down right now. I'm going to erase this, prime vortex, because price is not here. That has not happened. But if it was, it's like a gun that's primed. It's ready to be fired. Okay, it's like a pump that is primed. It's ready to shoot water. So a prime vortex basically is price bouncing, ready to go. So if price is on the top of the vortex, we look for it to come up. If price is on the coming from the bottom, we look for it to come down. That's how a vortex would act. Okay, that's how they act in our art. And we can see this over and over again. Okay, it's not hard to find examples of this when the angles are overlapping each other. But that's how that works, either here or here. And the window of time can be calculated. In this case, it looks like it's from July. Here's July 20. Well, we're going to need to look at this a little more appropriately. Let's take a look at this window. It can be as early as, if price falls here, it can be as early as June 30th, 2025 to January of 2026. So over this rest of this year, if price is building along these prices and we're not building on the underside, I'm going to be looking for DAG to go very high and do very well. You know, if you've heard prophecies about DAG or anything like that, that might be a very bullish area that might line up with that, although I don't have anything for DAG. So I'm going to put a little call out, and I'll put the range for the vortex. It's about right there, yeah, it's in this block. So we're already over the vortex. So I'm going to put vortex, vortex window June 16th to, and we're going to give you guys the where it's kind of hovering over here, approximately January 20, and I'll even give you the lower one right here, even switches even farther, April of 2026 to April 2026. So June 16th, 2025 to April 20. It's a very, very big window for DAG. Okay, DAG can be playing down here and then hit either the white one or the green one, and it could act like a bounce. All right, does that help you? All right, so that's your window of time that you would be looking at for DAG. It's very wide. You got a lot of time. All right, now let's move on. I'm going to go to a 2-day and a daily chart. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys another target, and I believe we're getting down to this number exactly here, and I'll give you the exact number of where I believe this week, or maybe over the next few weeks. Okay. Now, this area can be defined as the following. If we have price responding to an area and yet rejecting off of that area, we have a line that's respected and disrespected at the same time. Can somebody tell me from who's one of our regulars what this might mean if price is being respected yet disrespected at the same time? And how can we use that to help us make money, save money, or protect money How can we use that? Let's take 2 minutes and do this. How can we solve this equation? We have a line somewhere in the middle that is being respected yet disrespected. Can we use that to our advantage? If so, how? Support and resistance. Yes, it is acting like a support and resistance, but how can we use it to make money? Do you see what iPad's drawing on the screen? He put the word DP. If you're watching this later on, you can't see what people are drawing in the live Zoom meeting, but you can see that words he wrote DP. Can somebody explain what DP is? Okay, Invest that box says, put a line above and below. And that's correct. Okay, put a line above, below. Okay, would we agree? Can anybody else put it in their words? Anybody want to unmute? Help me out here.
Mid-phantom transformation.
Mid-phantom transformation. Okay. When I first started this is the words I used. Mid-phantom transformation. Some people don't appreciate the trans movement. I like the Transformers movement. I like the mid-phantom transformation movement. But those are the only two. I'm just kidding, guys. Like, what? Let me finish the sentence first, guys. To take this line as if it's the middle of the oscillation. And to do so, all we do is we take the measurement, we measure the distance. Measure. We're going to measure here to here. And we can measure at cores or wicks or the average. In this case, we're going to only measure maybe about right there. Okay. What we're going to do is we take that measurement and the distance and simply duplicate the distance. So I'm going to take a measuring line, we'll do it blue from here, and we'll take it about to the meaty part of there. Then we really are just simply duplicating or moving this straight down to the lower side. And now you have what we call DP projection. We now have a higher degree of confidence approximately about where we're looking to come. In this case, we're going to now take the angle, which is a flat angle, and we're going to bring it down here. And this is how we can have a higher degree of confidence that we're more likely to get to this price right here. This is going to be called DP, or duplicate projection. We used to call it descent projection or descent point projection, but now we just call it DP projection, duplicate projection. Okay. Mid-phantom transformation is the technique where we take the middle line and transform it on both sides. So we're just taking 50% and making and finishing the equation for 50%. Okay. So if there's 50% on half on that side, there's got to be half on that side, which means really the support is here, and we can calculate whatever price that is. We can put a big star there, and that's how we can find where we're going. More confidence. We're going there, approximately. Okay, whatever price that is. It's going to be something like 0.028. Current price is 0.4940, so we're probably going to be coming down. We need to see, is there signs of weakness? Take a screenshot. This will help you. Okay, got it? All right. With more confidence, as I go further down, I'm going to draw a few lines. Looks like we got a very nice angle we're going to be looking at here. And we're going to be looking out for the sword cut in that area. If price comes up, I'm going to be paying attention to this price right there. And that's going to be 0.043 to 0.042. Okay, this is going to be our SC. 0.043, 0.042. Watching me do this over and over and over again throughout the week, or over the the course when you guys are here with us, you get it. You start getting it. All right. So I'm gonna borrow this flat and put it at 0.28. Right? Was it 0.28? 0.028, and then I'm going to put this block in white, and I'm going to put DP target. All right, and I'll stop there for this crypto. I spent enough time on this crypto. We'll put a small health bar there, so you guys can look for a possible bounce. If you're going to pay this, if you're going to pay to buy this crypto, I would probably want to pay closer to that price anyway. Okay, I probably want to pay closer to that price. This one right there. All right. Any other questions for me regarding DAG? I can draw and I can draw and I can draw, and we can continue that out, but we're not going to, okay? If prices go up, a confirmation would be a little bit above these prices up here at 0.47, back near the sword cut area. I don't think that's going to be happening right now just yet, but if they do, it needs to be above there. That's when you have a big chance, a better chance. Okay, let's move on. Hope these maps are helping you. Let's go to INA. Okay, I got INA on Binance. So it looks like we already have a map for INA. Oh, look, we did one long ago. Price phase into our weakness on December of 2024. About December 25th on Christmas, right about here. Come up one more time, hit multi-touch flat. The next weakness is after this angle, based on our foundational area. That's going to be where the next weakness is coming into play. I'm going to bring up the sword cut, SC at 0.71 cents to 0.66 cents. Current price for this crypto is 33 cents. We're going to make sure we pay attention to that sword cut. Turn off the border. We're going to do a Kamala. Make sure we turn off the border for that. Okay. We can remove some of these highs. Come. Fade away some of these in the background. We don't need them at the moment. Good. Okay. The next thing we're going to be doing, this is something I see on this crypto. I see a very large parabolic we're going to need to collect. Okay, so we're going to need to draw that professionally. Let's go to a weekly chart, higher time frame, and see if I see that parabolic. I'm going to try to use this weekly chart to collect these points. Let's go back to a 2-day chart and see if I can collect it better. All right, it's going to level off approximately. The foundational area is a very, very big giveaway for this type of thing. If you look in how it started, the foundation, we have points here, 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 and they kind of go along this curve. The shape gives it away. If you see shapes like this all the time, you want to start thinking parabolic. Okay. If you ever see like the clouds that look like that and you keep seeing that shape, think parabolic that way. If you see the clouds looking like I just showed you right now, you want to think parabolic that way. Okay, those give you away. Okay. When we have the key angle, we can do a few things with it. Number one, we can level it off to approximate where it levels off. Remember, it doesn't go backwards in time like a full circle because price doesn't move backwards. We're going to level it off about right there, and the price for that is 0.42 cents to 0.40 cents. So that's going to be area where we're looking at. Okay, so that's the top. Now, how do we find the bottom? It's quite simple. We duplicate the parabolic and we bring that straight down. We cannot move it to the left or to the right. We remove the curvature calculation. So with curves, we can't move them to the left or the right like straights. We have to go straight down and try to keep them in alignment with each other. Okay? One way to test is use your crosshairs, the mouse, and just bring it up, and you should see approximately if this needs to be moved to the left or to the right. In this case, it needs to be moved to the left 1 bar, and there it is. Now I'm going to click it on the bottom, and I should be looking for verification. So when I bring it to the bottom, you can see that I was correct. Here is the verifications. If I place it here, then these two areas are the verification. They let me know I did it right. Okay? So now where's the bottom? The bottom is, therefore, here. And we just need to update the price. 0.24 to 0.23. Hope you're learning something. If you're new to our community, hope you're learning something. So now if I wanted to just draw some health markers to help me map out where we're going, that would be a health, this would be a weakness, this would be a health, this would be a weakness. Okay. So if I'm going to pay for prices, I want to pay the lowest prices. I want to probably pay the liberal 24 side rather than maybe the low if I'm not risking it for the biscuit. I want to do 23 cents. But if I just want to make sure I get price filled, 24 cents. If I'm going up and I want to take profit, I want to take the low side, the conservative side, rather than maybe risking it too much for 42. I probably will take some profit at 42. So basically, it's something like that. If I'm going to buy it anyway, I want to buy here. If I'm going to sell, I'm going to sell here. If I'm going to buy again, I want to pay a higher price. I said that correctly. I didn't misspeak. I want to pay a higher price to minimize the risk of what might be happening next. Because if I buy it here, I'm still in a territory of weakness and prices may reject, and I may be buying at the top of the market and only to see it fall. I want to make sure I'm building above here with structure so I have a higher chance of going up. So I don't mind paying a higher price if I'm paying for the assurance. I'm going to give you a little quick story. My brother-in-law purchased some very expensive turf for his yard. And he found a neighbor who said, yeah, I know some guys, and they did some work for cheap. And he was so happy with getting the work for cheap that he said to himself, let me get their number. He bought this super expensive grass, very important event, and he got somebody who was like, yeah, we're licensed, we know how to do turf. And he was like, well, if you guys know how to do turf. He didn't check the reviews. He didn't check certain things he needed to do his homework on. And he went to the company, and the company was like, yeah, we'll put these guys on it. And they put some new employees on it. Just because they only did one turf in the past, he trusted them with his very expensive turf, which was around $7,000. It's a special pet turf, and he had a big yard. Closer to 7,000, like 6,000 something. They did a hack job. They did a hack job. What a hack job. I mean, they put the turf in different angles. It looked like different colors. It was all one turf, but it looked like different colors because they put it in different angles. So some grass is going that way, some is this way. And later on, he had to almost sue the company. He had to tell the guy, hey, and they were going back and forth between a while. Finally, after being threatened to be sued by my brother, he said, you know what, let's just redo it all. I'll pay for it out of my pocket. We just don't want you to sue for it. So he had to repurchase all the turf, brand new turf, install it again. They were only able to salvage just a little bit of it. That's how bad of a job they did with hammering and everything and putting it in. Why am I telling you this story? Sometimes when you're taking a very big risk, a big investment, it's a little thing to do the homework. Sometimes you don't mind paying a higher price for the expert to come in to install the turf. Sometimes you don't mind. You need to not mind paying those higher prices to get in the area when it's safe. And sometimes you need to be patient, do your homework, so that you're not just paying some random guy to do your turf. When it comes to your hard-earned money, you want to make sure you do the research. When it comes to your investments where you're throwing bigger portions, the Bible says invest in 7 ventures, for you do not know what will befall the land. You don't want to be just throwing it out there at the first guy who seems. This goes with relationships and dating and a lot of things in life. Even the local church you choose as your congregation. They're not decisions you should be making so lightly. The Bible tells us sit down and count the cost to see if whether the king has enough with his troops to conquer the opposing army. Otherwise, you need to come to terms in peace. The Bible also tells us to sit down and count the cost when you're considering building a big project, lest everyone will come and ridicule you saying, look at this builder, he began to build, but he could not finish. You want to weigh all the risk in advance before, if you can. You can do this with lots of cryptos. You can do this with lots of things in life. The principles are the same. Don't be afraid to pay a more premium so that you remove the risk from yourself. Get past the risky area, then make decisions based on what you're going to do there. with more evidence, of course, but things like that. Okay. All right, let's finish up this crypto. I'm going to just show you a few more things about this one. There's something called mid-phantom for this one. Step-ups are active. I'll give you a few areas where I'm looking at. I won't teach you this right now, but I'm just going to put on some important areas on the chart, and then I'm going to do something called target system. If you guys want to know more about what I'm doing, you want to go to our lessons page for all dive tier members. It's available. Just type in the word lessons. Right now I'm adding something called step-ups. And these are going to be some important step-ups I'm going to be looking at. This one. Okay. Yep, I'm not so convinced. This one is in a downward oscillation in an area of weakness. I'm not going to be so bullish this crypto. I will do a target. I want to see if the targets are fulfilled or on top. This is what we do quite often in our community. Okay. Exactly, or very close to our area where I'm expecting. I'm going to lay out some higher targets on the board for you. And I'll put some prices for some of these. 0.61 cents. These ones are not exactly in place since we're not in these areas, but if this crypto does really well, we want to be looking at 61 cents, 61.19 to 66 cents, 66.25. I also want to be paying attention to 74 cents, 74.64, and 70 cents, 70.62 to be exact. I'm going to be looking at 57, 57.8 to 57.72. Okay, those are going to be some important points. I'm only going to draw one more for you right now. I'm going to be looking at this more like a flat, a multi-touch flat, which more incentive to come to the lower side. I won't be looking for it to stay down for very long. I'm probably going to be interested in this crypto when it comes to a lower price. So I'll look at these areas and we'll move off the board. Okay. Let's look at the next crypto. We spent enough time on this one. Where's my price level? 25 cents, 24 cents might be a good price for this crypto for a small bounce. Then we're going to be looking at I'll draw some more health markers on here and we'll move on. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for those who commented about the Prophet Robin, what he said to me on YouTube. Thank you for, I was able to see it. Yes, I did see it. Thank you for those who reached out to me. And from Prophet Robin's community, welcome. We appreciate you. God bless you. Let's move on to, I'll let you take a screenshot. We're going to move on to Research Coin. All right, I'll do 3 more cryptos if you want to. Go ahead and put some requests in. Otherwise, we'll add those requests for Monday. Okay. All right, let's go to a different crypto, RSC, Research Coin. 38 cents for this one on Gate.io. Coin X. It's the same. Okay, it looks like I've done a map on here, some areas in the past. It's November. Okay, we're done with all of that one. So we'll put a new one. Okay. All right, we got some new things in play for this crypto. So this DP's never hit, so we're going to be looking at the larger oscillation. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. Actually, I want to check something first. Borrow this angle. Okay, to give you an updated map, we got some things to look at. Looks like price was bouncing in the sword cut area. That's where we built our round structure on. This angle seems to be an important angle. It's called the reverberation. And the technique we're using for this, oops, sorry, not that one. The technique we're using for this is called KR. We have a special lesson about it called KR. It's the key angle reverberation. Once we find what the key angle is, or the dominant key angle, we look for it to echo throughout the chart. It's like echo, 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 and so forth and so on. We like to see evidence that price responds to that angle. And when we find it, such as here, if we place it at the peak here, we hit 1, 2, 3, areas along there. We like to see that echo because it tells us it's a dominant angle. If price comes down at any time, we need to replicate the echo, and we can use that as a stepping stone. It doesn't have to be as thick as the main ones on the outside, but it's something to pay attention to. Okay, so this is going to be what we call KR. It helps us find invisible trend lines that we wouldn't normally be able to find. So to give it a label, I'm going to put this in the center. Let's put this one on the top, or the middle, just the middle. We'll just call it KR. All right. Good. The next thing I'm going to be doing is looking for any new active dominant angles. These ones I'm going to fade away a bit so they don't get in the way of my eyes. Just kind of fade these away. Right now I'm currently paying attention to 58 cents and 73 cents. Current price is 40 cents for this crypto. I'm going to draw these structures as following. We're going to go to a 2-day chart, and let's go to a weekly chart. All right, there we go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these the energies, or the center of this energy. I'm going to call them energy centers. We're going to take that angle, we're going to duplicate that angle and bring it to the lower energy center, which is going to be this area right there. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. Okay, so when we take this angle, we're going to bring it down here to the lower energy center at the core, which is the meaty part right there. Okay, understand how I'm doing that? Now this area is what? Can somebody tell me the name of this area right here? What do we call this? What do we call this area here? Does anybody know what we call this area?
Verification.
We call it verification. Thank you. What do we use? How can we use this to make money, to save money, or to protect money when we're trading or we're in the crypto market?
It tells you you're doing it correctly.
It tells us we're doing it correctly. Helps give us more confidence. That's right. What's another way we can use it to help us make money, though? Or save money? Protect our money when we're in the crypto world. How can we use it to help us in a more practical way? Anybody? What's the purpose of it? I put it on, it's great. Is it to say I told you so? What is it for? Nobody? Okay. I'm going to call this line the phantom, and I'll show you where we're going to use it for. Okay? The purpose of this line is to help us understand where some of the best prices are. Everybody understand that? Okay. The purpose of the line is to help us understand. So where are we at? It's a map. We painted a picture of a map. We're trying to get as much of the story as possible to help us understand. Pay attention with me. Look, you are here. That's where you're at within the story. You are here at the mall. And you get lost because you went away from your mom and you're like, oh, where's mommy? And she calls you up on your new cell phone. And you tell all your friends, hold on guys, and you wipe your tears from your eyes, and you don't let your, oh, was that just me? I'm just kidding. It's nice to know where you are, right? Within the story. If I fall down to here, am I here to panic? Without this line, I might panic. But since I have already done my homework, I understand that this line is strong. I might be looking at there saying, hey, you know what? While everybody's panicked, that's a good price. If prices build below here, what is it telling me? If prices are building below here, in this area, what is it telling me? Come on, somebody. If prices start getting down here, and I'm starting doing this, even if I'm coming up, what is it telling me? Somebody tell me. Unmute your microphones. We got a lot of people today. Get out. Go short. That's right. This is where you want to cut your loss. What the heck are you doing back here? This is where it's dangerous. Why are you holding on to your cryptos? Why are you trading? This is not a casino. Stop trading. Get out. Okay. If I buy, what's the prices I want to pay? I want to pay that price. If I'm going to be buying it anyway, do I want to buy it right now? Well, maybe, but if I had reasons that it might be coming down, like maybe USDT.D still going up, there's room for this to fall over the next few weeks. Okay. But if I'm going to pay, I want to pay that price. Whatever price it is around 23 to 6 cents. It's going to be about right. Maybe there, 25 cents. So I want to pay a quarter. I don't want to pay 40 cents. I don't want to pay that price. I want to pay 25 cents if I can get away with it. This is a dynamically rising price. So if prices holds on, eventually that will be the new price I want to pay. But for now, the scenario, if price were to fall, it's along this track. I want to know where this track is so I know what I'm getting paid. I know if I'm getting a good deal or not. This helps you make money or save money or protect your money because it lets you know where you're at within the story. And then that's for you to decide. Okay, after that. But I don't want to be here underneath if I'm going to be in a bullish position. If I buy, I'm going to pay these prices, and if I get out, I'm going to pay those prices. So I minimize my risk, right? If I buy here and it comes down into weakness, I lost a lot of money. If I buy this and I come down into weakness, I minimized my risk. I only lost a little bit of money, just a really small amount. Okay? So this is how you can be more averse to risk. Okay, you can just see what risk is on the board. Right now, it's a little risky if we're away very far from our entry. And if I need to get out for the plan that goes wrong, I'm ready to go. That's all you need to be looking at your investments. You need to have an exit plan even before you get in the trade. Does that make sense? Okay, there's just one technique within us to give yourself a better battle plan. So what are we doing today? Are we going up or are we going down, Song? Well, let's go and examine it just a little bit further. These candles are starting to look a little bit wonky probably before a one-day chart. So maybe like I don't want to intraday trade this. I can already tell you that based on my experience of looking at candles for many years. I'm one of the fastest to tell you if the candles are getting wonky. By that I mean, if I go to a 3-hour chart, you're going to see these candles not making much sense. You see these? Look at these shapes. Like that, nothing. You know, you're going to see a lot of volatility. Candles like that. All over the board. Weird shapes. They're not as cohesive. Up bars that are red when they shouldn't be red. You'll start seeing things like that. Now this one, not as bad as some of the others, but there's a lot of volatility within just 3 hours. You see that? So I would, in my opinion, I would probably just stick to the higher time frames. There's where you want to draw your structures. Okay. As it is, it's in a good spot. Okay. We have a parabolic here. So are we gonna come down all the way to the phantom? Is likely. Being so close to the phantom, we're probably going to hit here and spike to the lower. So if I'm going to draw it, I'll leave this for you. I won't draw this one officially, but I'll just leave it on the board. But it might look like this, and we'll move on, okay? Candle, 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 wick. Something like that. It can also be just like one wick like that, or two, or a few. So you can wick and hit there. That would be a good price, which means you want to have orders if you were going to buy, but that's not how I like to trade. Most likely we're going to have another parabolic. I like to see it bounce from there and then here, and it's usually where I like to pay. So if I have some kind of structure that I can draw, this is a hypothetical. Sorry, my handwriting's not the best. I was absent the day they taught me handwriting in school. was also absent. They taught the day not just handwriting but spelling as well. But I was presently for lunch that day. Surprisingly enough, I was present for lunch. Okay. All right. Any other questions regarding my thoughts on this crypto? Okay. Going once. Going twice. Okay. Once, going twice. All right. Remember, everything in today's video is never financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. Everything's just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. We're going to look at some final cryptos for today, and then we'll be back at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday for ChartRoom, and also 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday tomorrow for our continuation of our WordRoom message series. That's our WordRoom Day. We have an online sermon that we preach and get to share with everyone. I'm so excited for tomorrow's message. So I've been loving this series. I love this series that we've been preaching, forcing in clarity. If you didn't see part 1, go to part 1, but we're on the clarity side and coming up to the end of the whole series. So after that, I'm going to be turning that into a beautiful manuscript. So I hope that you guys will get to enjoy that. But for now, please join us tomorrow, 5 p.m. for our ministry. We're going to look at a crypto called Ethereum. You guys all know it very well. Ethereum holds up a lot of the altcoins. Some people say what happens to it happens to a lot of the market. We are looking at a type of health based on the foundational area. Okay, this area here. And I got Siri on. And based on the lower area, we have an angle like this. This helps us extract the tiger line, our tiger measuring line. We can use that angle at various places to read health coming in and out, and all those areas have been complete. It does create a lot of stress or support at these areas, which just happens to be, the upper side happens to be a sword cut. If we wanted to, we can place a thick border around this block. Okay. Put an orange border so that we know we're talking about a sword cut. So if we come down to this area, I'll borrow this old health, we might be looking at a bounce if things came down to there. As it is, you can see that we're experiencing a lot of support on our target. This is a target that we have the price is 2,407 and 2,291. Okay. In these areas, we can see price building. The whole thing is also happens to be in health. And what we mean by health is if this was the oscillation that price was bouncing and playing under this area, bouncing backwards, bouncing. If we break to the positive side, which we did, we now have a chance to start moving higher or moving up and looking for some better things to happen. I'll show you that one more time. When we can identify the major areas of support and resistance, we start using them as guides and boundaries for what it is we're actually looking for a price to do. So if the foundational area gives me a resistance here, I know that moves here are actually health and they're positive. They have a chance to move up. So that's basically in a nutshell how that works. The oscillation, therefore, is something like an outward oscillation. The support keeps getting lower, the resistance is still somewhere around here, and then that's how we can extract and, do our moves with Tiger. But for right now, you just need to understand that's how the game is. When we start getting in these areas, we need to look for our next tops, which may be somewhere around 3,800, and even more local, our local target that may be just above us. So these are going to be areas where we're going to be looking at in just a moment. Okay, so let's extract these to try to get a better idea of what some of the powers at play are in this current crypto. So take a screenshot if you need to simplify that. That's a simplified look. Let's look at a few things in its entirety. Let's just look at this one first. We have an unused target here based on our target system. We have not hit this target. We got kind of close to the underside, but still short of it. Even the meaty part is not there. So The breakout we were looking for previous was 2,400. We have it. So now we're looking at 2,978, 2,841 conservatively. So somewhere around there is where we're looking to be. Okay. So I'll simply add a weakness there. And we will add another health on top of that. So this is just for your reminder. Anytime you see a weakness, you can view a health on the opposite side of it. Sometimes I'll just draw some of the more major ones, or if there's a lot of resistances in an area, I'll just draw the health on top of those resistances. But other than that, that's how you view it, something like that. Okay. Let's update this price. If price were to go up this week, where the number would be somewhere around this 3,768. Okay, so if I get above here, I might be looking to hit that one. Now we got to extract, where is that from? Well, that's from this key angle here, okay? And how that works is it's based on a higher time frame, so we'll look at that in just a moment. But for right now, you just kind of need to see an image like this. So I will draw that, and we're going to go to the higher time frame. Okay. As it is, we're looking at something bullish. This is the health. And we'd be looking to move up. Okay. Based on this right now. Let's go to
targets, Jay.
Huh?
Are those targets?
Those are targets.
In the blue?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just used to seeing the green.
Yes, that's
teal.
right. If I have multiple targets, I'll usually draw. If I have multiple targets, I'll usually draw the secondary ones with this teal color, with this ice blue. Otherwise, teal color is my primary targets. I'll give those a label target. Okay. So that's going to be the nearest target. And I'll put a little SC here so you guys remember that one. 20,700. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to look at some of the more important oscillations that are bigger. The next bigger ones than this are going to be this area here. Based on these 3 points, to simplify this view, I'm going to go to a higher time frame and simplify the look. All right. Now, two things I'm really paying attention to. Let me hide some of these. I'm going to erase some of these lines that are not being respected at the moment. Reparations. Okay, two things I'm really paying attention to within this angle, okay? Within this angle, I'm looking for this to be our key angle. We duplicate it, place it on top. It gives us some tops with some verification here and here on the March 4th and May 27th of 2024. If those are broken, generally we want to be looking for the DP projection on the bottom. So this is this angle right here, okay? That would be the DP projection based on these areas. However, if the DP and this would be the other targets, okay? However, we already got our bounce at this target, so this one was hit already, and that's where our big bounce was on our main target down here. And we never came into weakness, which is the next part of that trade. So this is a bullish area. This is the bearish area. Okay, and the bearish trade never triggered down to the next area over here at 1,132 area dynamic positive. Okay, so right now that's going to be out of play. By the way, these are going to level out somewhere around 12.79 to 12.01. So somewhere around 1,200 in that range we start to level out. And we can use that leveling out to our advantage by bringing them up to where they level out on top approximately. I'll give you that number. These are all more map points that are important. One analysis alone won't reveal all the map points, but multiple analysis will reveal those. Okay, so now we have something like this. This one with the black border is called a thunder cut. 3699, 3471. I'll add the word T cut. Okay. So these are going to be some important areas. Now, here's something that I want to say. If this is important, and yet we start disrespecting it and respecting it, it only puts more stress on the extremities, which is here and here at the top. So if we are in an area where we're here, we have chances to come up to here, and it'll still stress the border. Okay? Once we start disrespecting, it only puts more emphasis on the borders. Okay? The distance is still correct. If I come up and hit this a third time, and I come and I'm not afraid of that middle line again, I'm going to be even more looking at 1200. So if I'm going to buy Ethereum, I'm going to put a lot of stress on 1279 to 1201. Okay, I'm going to put a lot of stress on that. We're already disrespecting. Disrespect. Okay, that means we're respecting the line, but we're disrespecting it. With disrespect, I like to see it respect on the bottom side, but right now that has not happened. Okay, we may respect the top side again one more time. But as it is, just keeping track of this oscillation is important. So that's an oscillation, and to kind of highlight it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in big, like maybe I'm a blue, okay? Or a yellow, how about that, yellow. So you can just remind you what the larger oscillation might be within this round, okay? So this is just to kind of show you some of the events that are at play. It stresses, again, the border here, the border here. So we start thinking of those as very strong. Okay. So you're saying, where's the tops and bottoms for Ethereum? That might be one. Now this is, again, the zoomed out. So we're going to go zoom out even higher now and look at some other areas at play. But you may want to put those numbers on your map, or these angles on your map. Okay, let's go a little further. Another area we want to possibly look at. We don't need this one right here. Group some of this prophetic stuff here. I have a lot of commentary on this one. Possible short this. Is someone possible short this to begin when price moves underneath 144? And we didn't get that one. 1444. Okay, I think we already talked about that one. That was that one. 1444. That never happened. That was our one we never got triggered. Okay. So I didn't short it because we did not go underneath that. Okay, good. Now, let's go to some of the other oscillations that might be important to be at play. Farther than this one, we have now this one here. This is a key angle that has multiple points that we're going to get. Now, I'm probably going to adjust this slightly. Maybe I'm going to slightly adjust this angle. I'm going to bring this down to the meaty part about right there, if I'm being super accurate. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up just slightly, trying to capture most of these wicks, wick, and about the course in this area. So I'm pretty close to the ballpark for the key angle. I'm going to duplicate this angle to the lower side, trying to capture both of these areas, the meaty part and the wick part, and I'm left with something like this. So my top will be my key angle, my bottom will be my phantom or ghost angle, meaning I cannot get this angle unless I was drawing here. Although many times you can, because they're related, okay, and they're interchangeable, but for the most part, phantoms can only be created if you know where the key is, okay? But knowing where they're in advance is a very beautiful thing. Okay. With that said, our mid-phantom angle is going to be along that same track. Let's just adjust the mid-phantom. And it's 50%. Okay, halfway. So if I'm looking at this carefully, I'm going to highlight it so you guys have this. Here's my energy centers. And this is going to be a verification. And this is the lower energy center, and that's a verification. 50% of the angle halfway is going to be along this track with a verification, and a verification. Or very close to this one. Maybe this one's not so much. Maybe it's a range. But either way, we're going to be looking at mid-phantom. The mid-phantom step-ups might be at play. For those of you who took our step-up module, we know we draw them as a solid gray flat. Where at the crossover location from our method in our art. And they become a flat and a support, such as here. So you can see. Okay. That's based on the step-up from this location. And there's another step up here, and that will be a flat, and we'll draw that one here. And this is where we're disrespecting it. So this again stresses only the borders. So we're gonna look, when we start seeing disrespect, we pay attention more and more to the borders. Okay, so at the moment, the smaller areas are supporting that we may be here, but this may not be enough to get to the upper area. So if we reject here, we might still be looking to come back down to that 1200 area. So for right now, I'm going to only draw one more of the larger oscillations, and this is going to be our fourth oscillation that is major and important with Ethereum, and that's this one's over here. Okay, so this is our fourth larger oscillation. So again, we have four major areas by which we are really playing the game. And it's like a chessboard. You're concerned with what's happening right now, but you also need to be concerned about the other pieces that are in play. And this calls for a mind that takes to calculate. The more you can see pattern recognition, the better you're going to get at this. Okay, so Ethereum actually has tops closer to 1600 that might be in play at a future time. And it also has bottoms that are closer to around 8 to 900. Yeah, here's 900. Hold on. Here's 900. Here's 700. Here's 500. And here's price right now. So if price were to come down, we can actually come down quite low just to enter some of these price areas. Okay, so these are going to be major parts of the game that I got my eyes on. And I hope it helps. Okay. This is our source point. This is our secondary area, you can say. This is our second source point. This is a verification. Okay. If I take this angle and I put it on the bottom side, it's hitting it. So I know that this angle is strong. So if Ethereum ever falls, we got backups and supports. Okay. Price doesn't just fall. It encounters all the traders who are trading within this area. They start thinking these guys can't take the pain anymore, so they get out. So all the shorts or their buying position, they have to close their buy, so they fill this area with supply. And the people who bought here, this is the area where they start feeling apathetic and they're like, oh, I'm going to take some profit now. I'm losing too much risk. They start feeling all those emotions come into play in the psychology of trading, which is a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. Starts coming into play in these areas. So just knowing where those are, I hope this helps you start mapping out Ethereum in an easy and positive way.
Can you do the mid-phantom on that, Jay?
Yeah, we can. Mid-phantom, we're going to take one of these angles. We're going to label it MP. Okay. We're going to make sure that it's dashed. And it needs to be about halfway. And we're going to look for some verification for it. Do we have verification for this angle?
Yes.
Yep. The step-ups are, by the way, let me move this off to the side. Oops, not that one. The step-ups are here, here. Let's put those back. And a new one is forming. And let's take a look to see how good of a track record they have. This needs to be raised just a little bit higher to be an accurate step up. If you guys are interested in our lessons page, type in lessons, and on the lessons page you'll find a lesson module called step up. Now I'm going to show you something important so you guys have this. Okay, here's our verification for the step up. Okay, here's where there's an unused step up. It's closer to 750 to 765. And then we have one more step up that's going to be in play for Ethereum. And this is why you need to pay attention to this. I'm going to borrow this one. I'm going to place it where it goes. Here's the step up. Watch me carefully. Michelle, is this accurate?
Yes.
It's very accurate. Okay. What does this mean for Ethereum if we're hitting mid-phantom, coming close to the targets, yet not able to clear the step-up? What might it mean if step-ups are still active and in play for the larger oscillation right now? What might it mean, the territory we're in?
That we could potentially get lower prices at some point if it doesn't come in health.
Yeah, if we can't break the step up, we're going to go in health. Are we respecting the step up at the moment, which is in gray, by the way? This one in gray, guys. Okay, it's exactly where it is based on our art. It's respecting it, right? So at the very least, we need to be very cautious, okay, with this crypto. I'm going to show you. So we're going to label it. We're going to put some labels on here and help you guys understand what's happening. Okay, stick with me just a few more minutes. Step up. I'm going to put this word here so you guys know that I double checked this line. Okay, I did my homework on it. I'm going to even say accurate placement. I showed you the previous step ups. I showed you that step ups are active on multiple oscillations, both the yellow and the larger white on the highest time frames. And if those step ups are accurate, we need to pay attention to them. We can use them for our advantage. When price is on top, they're going up. When prices are on bottom, generally they're going down. But that's the step up. Right there. That gray block. Our step ups are always drawn in gray. And they're drawn at the crossover event in the range. It's there. It's correct. And look at the pressure that it's acting on the underside. Stop. 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 The support is here. But the support seems to not be able to take it above just yet. So therefore, what do we call it when it's stuck between a rock and a hard place? What territory do we call it?
Delay.
Yes, we call it delay territory. If you're more bullish, you can draw a green circle with a yellow border to denote your delay territory. If you're more bearish, draw a red circle with a yellow border. And that means that price just gets stuck like this. That's what we call delay territory. It's not exactly bullish, not exactly bearish, but this is the symbol. Okay? When you see this in my art, and you see yellow borders around health markers or weakness markers, it just means we're delay. So we're actually in health on the smaller, based on the smaller oscillation. Imagine a soldier fighting, and yeah, he's winning, but he may be losing against the larger army, and the larger army launches an attack right there. Let me show you what that means real quick. Okay, so to take a screenshot for this to help you understand some of the powerful movements that are at play within Ethereum. Got it? I hope this helps. Some of you guys don't know what the heck is happening with Ethereum. Why are we doing that? Well, that might have something to do with it. These are strong moves. Okay, now let's take a look at this. We're in an uptrend on the larger time frames, but this is a natural place where we're going to be looking for some rejection, such as here, such as, well, not right here, but we're coming up to, well, point of interception. We'll talk about that another day. That's still in the future in October. We'll talk more about that in another day. For right now, you need to understand the game as it's being is receiving a lot of rejection in this area. One of the things we can do to kind of see if we're going to be more likely to break to the upper side for Ethereum, so we can look at the volume. I won't do a whole tutorial on the volume right now, but I'm going to pull up some of the smaller time frames, and we can look to see if the supply is being absorbed on the top. if it's being absorbed in this particular case, we want to see that the supply is not being absorbed at the top, so that we have a more incentive to rise. If the supply is draining, traders are becoming less interested in it. Let me just quickly look. In my opinion, I'll give you what I think is happening, if it's clear. Okay, good. All right. In my opinion, I do not believe the supply is being absorbed. We can talk more about that on Monday if you guys want to ask me about this on Monday. But this is my analysis. I call it a micro VSA. There's two ways I read VSA, micro and macro. But the micro VSA, or volume spread analysis, indicates the supply has not been absorbed. You guys see me do this all the time in our regular classes. The supply has not been absorbed. In fact, there's a slight increase in the third point, which tells us there's still incentive for us to get to the higher side. Okay. Now, it's not super high. I'm not saying we're going to get above the target, but I think there's a chance that price is going to hit the target even for a short time. Okay, so be careful trading too longer term this Ethereum just yet. At the moment, we can hit that on the daily chart, just like we're disrespecting on the daily chart, but on the higher time frame, we're losing the game. And which one's more powerful? The monthly, the weekly, the daily? The monthly, the weekly, the 2 week, the 2 day, or the daily? The answer is the higher time frames. They're always generally more powerful. The moves change, and you can see those changes happen slowly on the smaller time frames, but generally these bigger time frames are still at play. So even though we're disrespecting on the daily chart, I just showed you the higher time frames where we are very much respecting. It's like Star Wars. Okay? You guys like Star Wars? Some of you guys are like Star Wars. Some of you guys are rolling your eyes. In Star Wars, we see the battle happening and the Emperor's moving pieces, but it'll often make it look like you're winning. It gives you just enough so that you don't cause a revolt. In history, I think it was someone like Julius Caesar, I think it was, one of the great leaders in the days of like the Gladiator, those movies, they make it. And there was a famous quote by one of the great leaders. Some of you may be able to tell me who it was. He said something to the effect of, give them circuses and give them spectacles and they will never revolt. In other words, keep them always distracted with something that they think they're gaining, like their favorite sports team, and they'll never understand what's really happening in the world. They're always so distracted to revolt. They're just happy and entertained. If you keep them satisfied just enough, they won't understand what's really happening, in other words. In this example, the daily people don't understand that they're actually losing the battle, or they haven't fully won. So you got to be really careful. Disrespect. You're like, oh, look, we're breaking the line. Or you may not even see the line. You don't understand what's really happening. So for me, I'm going to say that price is going to move something like this. We still need to remember that the area of resistance is still here. So more likely, but since we're breaking this on the smaller time frame, we're only likely to stay here a temporary moment, just a small temporary moment, and then come back down to the real reality. It's a small victory. So I'm going to be looking for something like that to end up here. In other words, for me, that's what I stand on, based on the game as I see it. Okay. All right. I won't spend more time on Ether. Okay. I'll show you back the image of the 1 week chart. Again, we're losing the battle. Okay. So the volume is telling us we're going to hit this area. More likely, we're going to hit this area. So I'm going to be more conservative. I'm going to be 28.4. That's the price I'm going to be looking at. And then I'll be looking to come back down to earth. Something like that. And like that. Okay. Okay. If we're blessed, we can, if it's really, really in a good way, we can be building. But I think there's too much pressure right now, and this needs to be cracked. We need some strong weekly closes, maybe even some 2 week closes. Okay. All right. Take a screenshot. That's my opinion. Ethereum. Let's move on. Okay. Camino says he's bullish at the moment, or he was bullish. We'll see how it plays out. I'd be bullish at the moment, especially in the smaller time frames, but wary in the long-term game. Okay, you can win the game, but not participate in the playoffs or the Super Bowl. WIKICAT on a 15-minute chart. Good. So you probably match what I'm seeing right now too. So on the smaller time frames, yeah, you're probably going to do good in this coming week or 2 weeks. WIKICAT. Okay. All right. There's a WIKICAT we got it on crypto.com. WIKICAT. That's good. It's gonna be listed. I have a wrapped ether, but everybody asks me, no, don't please don't unwrapped, because it throws off your prices. I use this as a map to kind of let me know what territory I'm at. I'm still bullish this area, so I'm going to be saying I'm going to be looking for this to still come up based on this chart and where we're at. I'm going to be looking for this to still rise, but I'll show you the other chart, okay? So WIKICAT, I'm looking for it to rise. Let's draw the crypto.com. I'm glad I get to draw one on WIKICAT. Oh, here's a Gate.io. Let's check the price. Here's the Gate.io chart. I need to add this one. We're going to pull up. I'm just going to do something right now for WIKICAT. Okay. I know what I was going to do. I was going to look at the price. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros, 20 as compared to crypto.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Okay, maybe I counted a zero, but they look exactly the same. So we're going to use the Gate.io, and then we need to add that to the watch list. Now to do this, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to click on this icon again near my finger. I'm going to go to watch list, and then I'm going to type in the word WIKICAT. And again, we were looking at on Gate.io. But Gate.io, there's a little plus button here. That's where you want to click. You want to click the plus, and it's going to put a little check mark. It's added now to your watch list. So if I go to my watch list, it'll be there, and it'll show which one is the one I'm doing this on. So I'll leave both of these, although today we're looking at Gate.io because we're no longer looking at Enwrapped. Okay. So under Gate.io, I'll click on this, and then I'll click this little expand icon right above my head where my finger's touching. That's the one. The chart will open. Okay, I am bullish this crypto. I want to be looking on the wick side. These are going to stretch out. These numbers are going to come over to today's numbers, so it's dynamic positive. To denote these, we can do a few things. Let's change the border to, let's take the text. We're going to make the text white. The label background, we're going to put that as black. The label border, we're going to just put that as white. And I'm going to put the line color as white, and then I'm going to put the text, I'm going to put a bold, and I'm going to put the plus button, so you guys know we're talking about dynamic positive. Well, here it looks like an X, but it's about that. Okay, it's really small to see. Let's see if we can make this really big. Nope. It's not that. I want the text here. There we go. Dynamic positive, and we'll make this size 18. Okay. All of these markers will come up on the track. And now I'm coming under something of a, I want to check my flats. I think I was doing a flats analysis on this previously. Flats still seem to have some workings. I'm going to bring up this one. It's in play. I'm going to stretch this out. This is the wicks that may be at play based on our mid phantom and the lower phantom. So this right here should be 50% from this line down here to here. Okay. So that should be about 50%, and this should be about the average where these two wicks are at here and these wicks. So I want to be looking to take profit, possibly at exactly where I said the top is, or one of this double multi-touch flat. Let me give this a label. I'm going to call it MTF, multi-touch flat. And for those of you guys who are trading WIKICAT, we're going to be looking at something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros, 3 area. Okay, to maybe 2, 7 area. Did I get a question? Does somebody have a question for me regarding this right now? Okay. I'm going to check the money that's still available on the table. So if I go to today's price and I raise it up here, there's still about 34% to the conservative side, 35%. To the liberal side, maybe about 47% before we're probably going to see some profit taking. Okay, once I get in this area, I'm going to be doing something very unique. Wait. I want to look at the volume as we come to the tops. So I'm going to need to set an alert for myself because I'm going to read if the supply is being removed. If the supply is not removed, I'm going to be looking for this to go higher. If the supply is being removed, I'm going to be looking for this to naturally come down. Okay. In addition to this, I'm going to show you some of the accelerated areas. This is, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. This is the clocks I always show you in the upper end quarter, and usually on Wednesdays. There's other areas based on sword cut. This is actually a positive area. Okay. These are going to be some areas I'm looking at. Let me give you your health for this area. It needs to be above this. The resistance needs to be below it. The circle width is too thick. The white border was too thick. So that's going to be our big health marker. That's what I'm looking at. Okay. So I need price to move. So professional accumulation came into this crypto from October 2023. Again, they did not exit the previous high of 730 area. I believe this is a long-term trade. Okay, so we're almost there from our old analysis in September. A few areas worth noting: sword cut, double sword cut, and then I'm going to draw our accelerated area for you. So let's create an accelerated adjustment line. It needs to be a different color. Let's give this a green. Okay, and then we're going to draw one more accelerated area. These act like safety nets for us, by the way. Quite nice to have. Here's the next angle. We're going to give that ice cream color. And since this one's more active and in play, we're going to do it here. Okay. These accelerants, this is a little advanced. I don't really have time to teach it, but these accelerants help us understand when price is slowing down. So for example, if I treat this like a key angle, this green line right here, and I duplicate it up, it can let me know when I place it at the highest energy center between the oscillations, which is going to be here. It lets me know where I should naturally be receiving some rejection. It's here. I'll give you the price. Here at the vortex somewhere in this month. Okay. 7030. Okay, the same price there. Don't label it because we already labeled it. Okay, the next one, accelerate, lets us also know where we slow down. This one, it's going to be here. So we should be receiving rejection in this area on the wick side and the core. Okay, so right here, a lot of these areas are pointing to this group. Okay, do you understand this? This is actually not a good thing for much higher prices. A lot of the accelerants start pointing to these areas, okay, and top of the flat. So this becomes what is known as, again, a vortex. We taught that earlier today. If price is on the underside of a vortex, when we're there, the vortex becomes primed. I'm going to put the word almost primed. And then when we see that, we look for price to shoot out when we see that. So therefore, I'm going to put more stress on using this area as a profit-taking zone. Okay, I'm going to put some text here. Look to take profits. You guys all got this? Does anybody have questions for a WIKICAT? I hope this map helps. These are some of the things I see in the future. Look to take profits. Okay. So I would wait a little bit longer if I was you. And do I have any questions? Take a screenshot now. Okay. All right. Let's go. A few more cryptos, and we'll be done for today. Hope this video helps. Putting some of my thoughts and on some of these cryptos. All right, the next crypto we're going to look at is XLM. And let's see what we got here. I think I have two main maps for XLM. A few oscillations I've been keeping my eyes on for a few years. Number one, I'm going to be looking at the parabolic nature of this curve, which is going to level out approximately here. I labeled it. I said leveled out parabolic. Okay. We also did target system because I had two different targets. Some are in this color and some are in this color, and they're labeled target. Okay. Price is not at these low numbers. Price is really high for XLM. It's 26 cents, and I have some big supports around 11 cents and 0.8 cents. So coming down from 26 cents all the way down to 8 cents seems to be quite of a stretch, but it's something you want to be watching out in the long-term future. Okay, I'll go to a 2-week chart to kind of put this all in perspective for you, so you can keep your eyes on some of the big stuff that may play out over the years. There's a health here, and there's a health here. It'll look something like that. Okay. So if price ever comes to these areas, that would be cheap prices, and we can start talking from there. Okay. In addition, we got some tops somewhere around 98 cents for the high side. It levels out about right there. We want to be thinking to ourselves, hey, I might be wanting to take some profit on this if we get up to 98 cents, which is close to $1. Okay. I'll put some stars on this image to help you remember what's important when we're talking about the boundaries or the range. Okay. So if price flash crash or something in June, I want to be paying an 8 cents for this. Triple J has an area around 4 cents. That may be in a time in the future. That would look like if we were building underneath there, then we can start talking about. But for right now, this is where we're at in the longer story. Okay, let's go to a little bit smaller stuff so we can talk about what's more apt to happen now based on the current game. Based on what I'm observing, I'm going to hide my lines just to point out this fact, okay? So I'm going to do this, try to do it rather quickly, manually, okay? We're going to talk about this, but do you remember earlier when I was talking to you about step-ups, right? Step-ups don't just work on a straight with the mid-phantom in the crossover event, okay? They don't just work like that. They also work on the larger story with parabolics. So let me show you. Again, this is a little advanced, but if I were to take these energy centers here, here, and here, they're going to give me a curvature, which I already drew like that. Wow, I drew that really fast and quick. That's pretty close to where it is. If I take the duplicate of the angle, and I don't move the calculation, but I just move it straight up and down, approximately, okay, as I showed you earlier, then now I have my key angle, and I have my phantom angle. Okay, my ghost angle. 50% is the middle phantom angle. To do that, we just duplicate one more time the curvature, and we place it 50% in the middle. So now my mid-phantom's approximately here, correct? Right? Michelle, is that right?
I'm sorry, Jay, I wasn't paying attention.
No problem. Is this mid-phantom correct? Do you think it's correct?
Yes.
Okay, it looks about right. All right, if this is correct, can you show me where the step-ups are? Circle on my screen where the step-ups are. Okay.
You want me to do that or anybody?
Can you do it?
Sure.
She's going to circle where the step-ups are. I'm showing you, anyone can do this. It's a secret. Okay. There are 3 step-ups. Maybe 4. Yeah, there's 4 of them on here. Okay, the first area she circled, I'm going to circle along with her here. Okay, go ahead. The next one. Here. Here, and where else? There, back here. If you follow the curvature, it's actually here. Because these extend out into the past, by the way. All right, how do we use this to make money, save money, protect money? How can we use them to our advantage? Somebody explain it to me. You want to explain it?
I guess the step up shows where price, I guess it's going to show resistance or what's the other one?
Support?
Or support for
correct.
The candles.
Okay, so now we have these circle areas. We circled where we cross over, okay, because we found that, hey, price is crossing over. We did something like this. Price was crossing over here. Price was crossing over here. Change your behavior, okay? So this is where we're stressing on the chart. This is where the traders are changing their sentiments, okay? And they affected by it, so they're going to form areas of support and resistance based on the supply and demand in those areas. How do we use that area? Is it right there that we use? Because this is all in the past. And then how do we use this in the future? And then how do we verify it's correct or not correct? How do we do our homework to do that? We circled
we draw the sword cut.
That's right. We draw the step up, which is the step up. And we use gray.
The step up.
Now, the technique we're going to use is just a flat line at the crossover points. So we're going to draw a flat line at these areas, okay? So it's basically, and I'm getting you in the range of how to do this, okay? It's basically a flat line there. So we start looking for verifications and even larger verifications at work. Did you see? Make sense? Make sense? Okay. Here's another area. Here's another step up. We're looking for resistance. Make sense? Okay. Here's another one. Right now. Did you see? Does this make sense? You guys want to know what's happening with Ethereum? I'm revealing the secret here. Or what is this? XLM. This is a support. Now this is a 2-week chart. We had the smaller support on the lower time frame. I'm showing you guys, as much as you want to apply to one chart. I can't do it all for you guys, but I can do the same techniques over and over and over again. I can show you the various stuff and where they overlap. And if it's up to you to do your homework and find what I missed, okay, for your favorite cryptos. So if this is a support, I can look and hunt the up move. I can hunt the down move and use that to help me make money. There's the down move. So the health is going to be here. More likely we have a chance to move up based on these foundational area. There's the verification, by the way. We're not in health yet, but there's a chance. We're coming from a support, step up support. We're going to label that for you right here. Okay, I'm going to show you one warning before you go buy it right here. Be careful. I'm going to show you one more thing. Step up support. Why is it support? Because we're on top, so it's acting like a support. If it was from the bottom, it'd be step up resistance. In other words, this was a health. Sorry, not red. This was a health, and underneath would have been a resistance. But right now it's a health, so it's acting like a support. Did everybody get that? Understand that? What's the thing I missed on this chart? I got my 3 step-ups. Did I miss anything? Yes or no? Come on, guys. You can do it. What did I miss? That's right. I missed that last one. Where is it at? Here. I'm showing you how you can verify if you did it right or wrong. I'm showing you in real time how to do it. We got the bounces exactly where they should be based on our calculations. Did you see that? I started with just a parabolic curve and I extracted all the rest of the secrets just from knowing one part, because they're all interconnected. In our art, it's all connected. One piece is related, price can be verified forward and backwards. Did you see how I did that? If you need more practice with that, on our website, type in lessons. If you guys are not a Dive Tier member and you're coming for the free all Patreon day, praise God. I hope this helps you. But you guys can learn to apply these techniques to lots of cryptos. And I hope it helps you, because one day, some of you guys, if there's glitches or hacks or wealth transfer events or the prophetic stuff or some of the stuff I've dreamed, that I've seen in my dreams, and some of the stuff I've seen in visions, some of the things that the Lord has revealed to me, if any of the wealth transfer stuff happens, which I believe is going to happen, some of you guys are going to be very wealthy. And you're going to be sitting around tables, and I won't be there. I mean, I may be there. I can't say that. But I have a lot of things I'm going to be doing. In my capacity, I'm not always going to be here like this. So you're going to need to apply yourself now. You're going to need to learn some of this stuff. You're going to be sitting with each other, working with some of you. Some of you guys are going to call each other. I can't force you to work with each other. I'm not like that. But to help you investigate, like investigators, like a doctor looking at a patient, trying to understand what might be going on with the patient. You're going to be doing things like this. So I hope it comes up to you guys. All right. So right now we're kind of still bearish, aren't we? We're still coming from this resistance here. All right. So before we get super excited about that, we need to understand where we're at. We're still rejecting, and we're still within the foundational area here, which is a vortex for us to go down. So if I'm going to buy this crypto XLM, I want to pay here, not here. I want to pay these prices, not these prices. Make sense? That's where I want to get up. I want to get as close as I can, because we can still break down to the bottom side and come down in a weakness below the step up, if the step up's no longer holding. If we are phasing to this side, maybe that's when I want to start thinking bullishness. Okay, that's where I want to start getting in, when I'm on that side. But when that hasn't happened yet, so therefore we're still bearish. Do I have any questions? XLM. This is what's happening over the 2-week chart. So this is the longer story. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay. I know that's hard to see at first glance, but eventually you get it. It's exactly also that step up just happened to be where our target was as well. For now, I'm just going to put those gray borders around us, these areas. You can see I've already had a gray border for our step up here. It looks like that's where our step up is. This is where our upper step up, which I didn't draw. It's because it's fairly new, and we're stuck between this area. Rock in a hard place. If I'm going to update the watch line to what I was looking at on the higher time frames, maybe I'm looking at something like this angle, and I'll leave you with that. Okay. 2-week chart. This is our updated watch line. Updated watch line, step up. Okay, let's move on. Since I don't have any questions regarding this, we're not in a health, we're still in a weakness, we're still looking possibly to even come down to the lower target. Okay, let's move on to the final crypto for today, CAS. And I'll be back tomorrow for Sunday, our WordRoom.
Good question.
Yes. Oh, wait, you said good question. All right, find out. Okay.
I just heard it in my spirit.
I remember one time you said,
Our calves.
Caspa will spring up like the sun. Something you wrote. Let's see, do I have the date? I didn't put the date. But I'll put this one. I heard it in my spirit, and I'll put the date for this one. June, what's today? 8th? 7th? 7th. Hey, next month's my birthday. All right. I turned 25 times 15. Or 25 to the 4th power, or something like that. I'm just kidding, I don't turn 25. Okay, let's move to look at this a little bit smaller. What am I looking at here? I calculated this parabolic. Okay, even if I can't get the curvature exactly right, I have a backup plan for this crypto. So don't fear, don't fear. Okay. I'm gonna level these out a little bit better. I wanna try to recreate this. So let's start with this one. Okay, I'm gonna delete this level off. I'm gonna try to recreate this now that I've had more time to... Oh, you know what I might have been doing? Gesture. Oh, that was probably our gesture line. Okay. Straight up and down. There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3 in our foundational area. That's good enough for me. We're going to DP projection that out. It's about right there. Let's measure that correctly. Measuring line. Duplicate the measuring line. Bring this to the lower side. Oops. Click it in place. Make sure it's lined up. There it is. Good. Okay, so it's going to raise our support up to about right there. Let's update these numbers. 0.033, 0.030. Okay, so I want to pay 0.03 to 0.030 cents. We are coming up now to our first step up for this crypto. I'll borrow this one. We're gonna turn this gray. It's right there. Okay, so automatically I'll be a little bit less bullish on this crypto based on this just right now. I'm going to account for the decelerants, which is basically price slowing down. So for example, if I was doing straight lines, it would look something like this: 1, 2, 3, and all of those can also be duplicated to the lower side. So I start seeing it slow down here. We start seeing the second one slow down here, and the third one, they slow down based on this angle here. Okay, so all of those, and the fourth would be that one, and it would be somewhere here. So we can start seeing them slow down in slow motion. When I first designed slow sword method, my goal was to try to find cup and handle pattern before cup and handle pattern was finished. So any of you guys who know technical analysis, you know a lot about cup and handle. Now for this analysis to be accurate, you have to do your homework. And I don't mean like study, I mean just to, you have to see if the angles are actually matching what you're doing. In this case, I'm going to say they're correct. So for example, if this is my key angle on top, my phantom angle is going to be on bottom, and you can see that I'm playing underneath the phantom angle. I'll show you what I mean. Look, this is advanced. That's why I'm here for you guys. Okay, I don't have a special lesson about these accelerants, but I will include one in Sword Method 7.0. Okay, there you go. Okay. So, in my opinion, this is a vortex area. Price being right there, primed. So price should bounce out of this area stronger. Primed vortex. Okay, so that's a weak thing right now. Price is more likely to shoot down. That's what's happening right now. Okay, step up and losing some of that momentum. It's not saying it can't gain the momentum again, but more immediately we're losing that momentum. Now you're going to see, hey, that's a lot like vent line. When I teach a vent line, yes, it's very similar to a vent line. It's very similar. But whereas a vent line, we only focus on one thing before the breakout. Decelerants or accelerants, in this example, I was doing multiple really quickly. Now all of that can be simplified by just parabolics themselves or gesture. But if you want a more manual way of doing it, it's this, just taking those breakdowns and extracting them out. Okay. I'll give you only one more for this. If this is the distance here, we can take the distance or the measurement, and I'll bring it to the lower side, and we hit this exactly. So already I'm going to say we don't have any more lower target to hit. We hit this exactly. And that's the DP projection of this area to the lower side. Okay, that's all I did. Okay, measure this, bring it down here, fulfill the targets. So we already hit that quite nicely. Did you see that? Quite nicely. So, all right. With this said, I don't want to do any shorts for this crypto. I don't want to do that. I want to look for some signs that there may be slowing down or health, and the next slowdowns, yeah, I'm going to be looking I don't want to be paying attention too much to that one. Let me find where our next health is. Otherwise, I'm just going to give you our lower number. I will draw a watch line. There's going to be the next one. I'll give you the color. Well, let's use blue. Solid line. Bring it to the lower energy center. And there it is. Good. Should be about correct. So at the moment, this is an area of weakness. So CAS, I think we can get better prices for CAS. If it does break up, you're going to be the first to know it. It needs to be above this track, and you'll be the first to know it. For right now, I'll just leave it here, dynamic negative. The price for tomorrow or this week is going to, or next week is going to be about 10 cents. It needs to be above 10 cents. I'll put the minus sign. Yeah, it's a minus sign. So I'm going to be looking for this to possibly fall and good prices or good entry either here or here. Okay. And that has to be on this side of the line, okay? So somewhere around, you know, I'm just drawing some lines to show you guys how I would look. Those areas. Okay. Any other questions for me before I go for this crypto? Going once, CAS. Going twice.
Morning, Jason.
Morning, Mr. Mall.
Hi. So just wanted to clarify, this is CAS as in CASPA?
This is CAS as in CASPA.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. And that appears to be all the questions for today. Go ahead.
I got a quick question for you. Do you see it like a step up, step 1, 2, 3 down, step up, 1, 2, 3 up image?
Maybe that's 1, maybe that's 2, and that's 3 down, and then up would be maybe we'll hit it, come down again based on this maybe, and then we'll go up, or we'd go up past this watch line. If we come down now, this will be solidified. This watch line will be solidified here. So I would say right now I only see the move down. I don't see the one up just yet. But I'm going to be looking at 033 as possibly being a good foundation to build on. Yeah, I don't even have more step ups than that. There's no more. And then the last accelerant is these two. So yeah, I don't really have a major health for this one. We can find a target real quick. That might be helpful. Let's see if I can grab a target. Farthest top, the one out, it's gonna be that one. Oh, is there no volume? Sorry, I can't. There's no volume on crypto.com. Let me see if this is on another exchange. Caspa. KuCoin. Oh, I did another map on here. Okay. So it looks like I already did some targets. That'd be weakness. Price bouncing on the lower parabolic. I'm gonna do this target one more time. If there's no demand for you can get a large drop. As the campaign selling into weakness tells large players are taking profit. Be careful at the moment with CASPA in February. Okay, that's done. Complete CASPA. Okay. You said in the past CASPA 5. I hear 5. It's sleeping. It will run expectantly, but not now. It will come down, then run 0.3, higher 3, possible wick. So when we did targets last time, they're in these areas here. Okay. I think that's about 0.28 to 0.37. On the other map, this is basically our target. So I'm going to say if I pull up CASPA on our crypto.com, 0.3. 0.28 was the target for the low side, right? And it was 0.38. Was it 0.38, guys? Was it? Let me get the image.
037.
037? Okay, thank you. Let's update this. 037. Okay. Coordinates. I'm just going to put 037. There's no. Okay, let's put these prices on here. 0.037 to 0.028. So we can see based on the target, visual order send to back, that it overlaps our leveled up parabolic. So more emphasis on 0.3 prices. Okay, so more, for me, that's going to be more evidence in the bank, or more evidence in our vault of why we're looking at these areas. Okay, going once for CASPA. If you're taking notes in your trading journal, go ahead and take these notes. CASPA, wouldn't it be nice to have some alerts? Here's how you do it. To cause an alert on our price, we're going to simply pull up our tools. We're going to draw a simple trend line. Okay, a trend line. Just take a trend line. And we're going to come down to that area. I'm going to put it around 3.3. Okay, and I'm just going to draw a flat line and just stretch it across. And then I'm going to make the line really thin. Okay, with my tools in my toolbar. Okay, I'm going to make it really thin. Then I'm going to even fade it away until I can't see it, or barely can see it. After that, I'm going to place this alarm clock button, and then I'm going to go to this place where it says message, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put CAS USD, and delete all this, touching lower support, possible entry prices based on target system. Okay, so based on our target system, that's about where the target is, and we want to pay a lower price anyway. That's the price we want to pay for CAS. Okay, down here. So basically, when price touches, I'll get an alert on my iPad or my email or my phone, depending on what you have set up in the alerts. Crypto Knight was talking just the other day on his community and his channel about setting alerts. All right, and that's going to be all that I have for you today. I will see you guys this week on tomorrow for a word room, and we'll be back on Monday for our chart room. God bless you guys.